following Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Strategic Affairs, positions to which he was appointed in 2009. His prior IDF positions included OC Central Command, OC Intelligence with the rank of Major General, Commander of the Ground Forces Training Facility at Elim, OC Judea and Samaria with the rank of Brigadier General, and Commander of the IDF Paratroop Brigade. He served in an elite unit between 1979 and 1982, fighting in Operation Peace for the Galil, commander of the IDF Paratroop Brigade reconnaissance units during the 1978 Litani operation, the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and participation in the liberation of the Suez Canal. He holds a BA in political science from the University of Haifa, and Moshe Yalon is married and the father of 3. Adam, I'll turn it back to you.
Bogie, please.
Okay.
We're ready to listen to all the insight that you can provide us in the short time you have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening from Israel, from Jerusalem, from the Knesset, to everybody, American friends of. Thank you, Adam and Sarah, for organizing this opportunity. And I will try to use the time available to share with you a couple of observations regarding the challenges, the current challenges that we have in our tough neighborhood in the Middle East. First of all, in the Likud party, tomorrow we will vote for a new chairman for the center of the Likud, and we will vote to allow primaries for the chairman of the Likud. Probably the next chairman will be Benjamin Netanyahu, and that's what we are going to vote tomorrow. Nevertheless, I'm engaged and very busy with the challenges around us as regard to our security. And of course, as you can see from far away from the United States, this is a chaotic situation in our region, which is characterized by what we call a chronic instability for a very, very long period of time. Syria, which is now in the headlines, in Syria, Americans, Russians, Turks, Saudis, French, Brits, and of course Syrians from all kinds, Kurds, Druze, Sunnis, Alawites, fighting each other. The main enemy is Daesh, as we call it, is IS, ISIS, we call it Daesh. But this is not the only enemy, because there are many contradictory interests in the current situation, in which Russia, with the participation of others, is trying to find any kind of political settlement to the current civil war. We don't see an end for this war with a political process, without political process, with Vienna 1, Vienna 2, Vienna 3. Our assessment that this civil war is going to last for a very, very long period of time. Without going to too much details, what we worry about is that the current political process might bring about two bad alternatives. One is Daesh-dominated Syria in one hand, and Iranian-dominated Syria on the other hand. And we, of course, our policy is not to intervene, but we have our own interest. And as long as our interests are not harmed, we don't do anything, but we have our very clear red lines. We don't allow to any party from Syria to violate our sovereignty, and when it happens, we act using military force. And of course, if someone is trying to deliver advanced weapons to any rogue element in the region, on top of them, Hezbollah, we act. And of course, we don't allow any delivery of chemical weapons or agents to any rogue element in the region. And unfortunately, in the current situation, the Alawite regime, led by Bashar al-Assad, is dominated by Iran. Qasem Soleimani, the head of Al-Quds force of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, an arm of Khamenei from Iran, is dominating Syria. And now Russia is involved in supporting this Iranian axis, which is not to our interest. But nevertheless, we know how to defend ourselves, and when someone is trying to challenge us, like Jihad Murania, Samir Kuntar, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, so we know how to defend ourselves by ourselves in order to prevent any intention to operate, to perpetrate terror attacks from Syrian soil. And the only element which is operating against us from Syria is Iran. It's neither Daesh nor Jabhat al-Nusra or any other opposition party. It's just Iran using proxies from a territory which is still controlled by the Syrian armed forces. That's why we worry about a bad option of Iranian-dominated Syria. Of course, we discuss it with our counterparts, on top of them, of course, the United States, which participating in the political process, not to allow Iranian-dominated Syria. And Iran is the main generator, instigator for instability in the region, although all the parties are concentrated on Daesh. We still consider Iran as the main enemy, as we see the Iranian negative involvement, not just in Syria. This is the case in Iraq. This is the case in Yemen by supporting the Houthis, in Bahrain by undermining the Sunni pro-Western regime, or in Saudi Arabia, and of course Iranian terror infrastructure in 5 continents, to include in America. That's why we still consider the deal as a bad one, and we worry about the fact that by using the opportunity of the sanctions relief, this rogue regime might use the money in a very short period of time, the beginning of the coming year, the new year, to manufacture, to produce more weapons by their own defensive industry, to procure more weapons like they do now from Russia, the S-300s. They intend to procure aircrafts, Sukhoi 30 or whatever, and of course other weaponry systems, and they will be able to finance in a better way the proxies in the region, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Iranian proxies in Syria, Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the Gaza Strip. They already finance them with all the sanctions and the limited resources. And of course, they will go on in undermining the pro-Western regimes in the region. That brings us to an opportunity. The new geopolitical division in the region is, in a way, serving our interests. What we see now is the Iranian Shia axis led by Iran to include the Bashar al-Assad regime, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, and other Shia elements in Sunni countries. We have the Muslim Brotherhood parties, the axis, Hamastan in the Gaza Strip, Qatar, and Turkey, a member of NATO. It's a unique phenomenon, a member of NATO that still hosts the Hamas terror headquarters, external headquarters in Istanbul, active terror headquarters in Istanbul. From Istanbul, they try to encourage, to finance, to perpetrate terror attacks in Judea and Samaria, in the West Bank, not talking about financing and supporting Hamas in the Gaza Strip. A unique phenomena, we have to deal with it. But we have, of course, the global jihad camp, to include Daesh, Jabhat al-Nusra, and other jihadist factions. But the Sunni Arab camp, which is the most important for us, and we believe for the United States and the West, in a way, share with us common interests. On top of it, common enemies. This camp includes Egypt and Jordan, which we enjoy with the peace accords, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, certain Northern African countries like Morocco. And now even Sudan is joining this camp in fighting as a Sunni coalition against the Houthis in Yemen, against the Iranian proxies in Yemen. We share with them common enemies. Iran is a common enemy. The Shia Axis is a common enemy. Muslim Brotherhood is a common enemy, and not talking about global jihad elements as common enemy. In a way, we find room to maneuver regarding this camp, and we hope that at the end this camp will be led by the United States against all the other enemies in the region. This is not the case so far. The United States so far perceives Iran as part of the solution and not as the main problem for the frustration of this Sunni element. This is the case so far. In a closer view, looking to the security situation in Sinai, Egypt is fighting now Daesh in Sinai, the Sinai County of Daesh, in a very aggressive way. Hopefully, we wish them success, as they are challenged by Daesh terror attacks from inside Sinai Peninsula. And Daesh is challenging now Hamas in the Gaza Strip as a relatively new phenomena. And Hamas, which is committed to the ceasefire in the last year and a half since our military operation a year and a half ago, and haven't shot even one bullet since Protective Edge operation because of the price that they paid, and they are deterred from dealing with us. This Hamas regime is challenged by Daesh elements, and those rockets launching and shooting here and there are provocations of Daesh elements against Hamas, as I understand that it is against Hamas' interest to escalate the security situation in Gaza. Of course, in Judah and Samaria, what we face now is a wave of terror, characterized by stabbings, rammings. In a way, is the outcome of our success to foil the intentions and the activities of well-organized terror apparatus like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Just recently, we arrested a couple of dozens of Hamas activists intending to perpetrate homicide bombing attacks, shooting attacks, and so forth. Our freedom of operation in Judea and Samaria, which is since the defensive shield operation of 2002, is a pillar of our security. Without this freedom of operation of the IDF and the ISA, the Israeli Security Agency, Shabak, we believe that we might have faced devastating attacks from the Palestinian Authority territories in Judea and Samaria. Today, we are able to arrest terrorists in advance in Area A, in Jenin, in Nablus, and Ramallah, and we do it. This is the main reason for the relatively calm situation regarding the well-organized terror cells activities. Then we have the individuals trying to stab, trying to ram soldiers, civilians, wherever, especially in bus stations, as a result of this success. But this is not the only reason for it. Of course, those individuals are incited by many elements, to include the Palestinian Authority, to include Hamas from outside, to include Daesh. They are exposed to Daesh incitement against us, and the idea of using the knives is coming from Daesh. And the social media is the main apparatus to spread this hatred and ideas how to kill Jews in Judea and Samaria, or in Tel Aviv, or in Jerusalem, or wherever. So far, we deal with it by more troops on the ground to defend our people. Of course, to try to use intelligence in order to foil these intentions in advance, which is very challenging, a formidable challenge, but with a relatively success recently. And of course, we try to punish the terrorists, their families when it happens by demolishing their homes. And it is quite an effective tool to be used, as many parents called us in advance to arrest their kids that had the idea to become shaheeds, to stop Jews, and we arrested them in advance. In one case, we arrested the terrorist after the attack. His father called us to arrest him, as he understood that by doing it, he might avoid the demolition of the house. Quite challenging, but looking even to the statistics, every casualty is the entire world, but in the last year, we observed 27 casualties, and we know now how to deal with it, to try to avoid casualties in most of the cases. And the awareness of the people, the civilians, the soldiers, the policemen, is a pillar in this modus operandi. 27 casualties in the last year. I do remember 2002 with 452 casualties, 2003 with 208 casualties, and so forth and so forth. We believe that we will prevail even this wave of terror, and most of it is the ability of the society to stand, endurance, resilience, spirit to fight back, and I believe that we have it. Unfortunately, we have to deal now with Jewish terror, and not to compare to the Arab terror, of course. We met Secretary Kerry, and he put the Jewish terror on the table, and I said, we have one Arab casualty from Jewish terror in 2014, Abu Khdeir, and in the last year, 2015, we have 3 Palestinian casualties as a result of Jewish terror. That's it. Of course, it is shameful to talk about Jewish terror, and as you're probably aware from the wedding and the video coming out from the wedding of this terror group, most of them are now under arrest or interrogation, and it's a big issue now. I hope that there will be opportunity to use this as opportunity to make a soul research for us, especially in these circles, which might be involved in inciting and educating and preaching to kill Arabs by terror, which is not Jewish. It is not according to our values, and the military, the police, the ISAs should make the job and not civilians taking the law in their hands. It's a big issue here, and I hope that it will be an opportunity to rehabilitate the situation in those circles, as we don't, of course, support it, and not to compare our approach to terror, condemning by all parties from all the circles to the Palestinian phenomena, not to condemn terror, to encourage terror, to promote terror, and not even to arrest terrorists. Just one fact: since the implementation of Oslo on May 94, we can't talk even about one case in which a Palestinian terrorist who murdered Jews was brought to the court, sentenced, and imprisoned for the entire of his life. Not even one case. So those who try to preach to us and to teach us what to do and so forth should be aware for these facts. To conclude, I believe that we are able here to meet the challenges, whether it is regarding the Jewish terror, not talking about Palestinian terror, the instability in the region, whether it is Daesh, Iran. We are able to defend ourselves by ourselves, hopefully with support, with a better international policy regarding the situation in our region. Thank you very much.
Sarah, I think we have time for one or two questions before the minister has to go.
One or two questions. Okay, I will select carefully from my list. Bogie, could you tell us the state or the status of Israel's anti-missile defense systems? We know that Iron Sling was just successfully put or tested or put into operation, but could you tell us the latest status about the anti-missile defense system?
Yes. In the last months, we had a couple of very successful tests with Arrow 3 and with the David Sling missile. We have now the Iron Dome operational system, which is what we call Block D of Iron Dome. It has been improved by many ways without going to technical details in the last couple of years from Block A. It is operational, of course. Then we have Arrow 2 operational to deal with missiles coming from far away, whether it is from Syria or whether it is from Iran. And for the coming year, we will have the David Sling as operational system for the first time to deal with all kinds of threats, whether it is medium range, longer range missiles. And within not too long time, we will have Arrow 3 to deal with range missiles out of the atmosphere. So Israel is going to be the most protected country all over the world regarding rockets and missiles defense systems. 4 layers of air defense system, Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 2, and Arrow 3. And we appreciate very much the U.S. support on all these projects. All this project is due to the U.S. financial support as well as some other supports. Israeli, of course, innovations, Israeli minds and hearts in these systems, and a lot of American money. So thank you for that.
And Bogie,
before we get to our last question, Sarah, I just want to let everyone just to recognize that the Defense Minister Ya'alon has taken tremendous time out of his day, out of his night, that is, to join us today. And this is something that does not happen to any other organization. American Friends of Likud is unique in that it does have such a relationship with the Defense Minister and all the ministers that we can ask them, and we are honored to ask them for their time, and we are always honored and privileged to have them join us. So I just wanted to mention that a point of recognition and thanks again before we go on to our last question. Sarah?
Okay, I will skip and I think go straight to what is probably one of the more important questions. You set forth the different, the axis, we'll say, of evil, and then the Sunni axis. And we here in America, or particularly people on this phone call, know that the United States government, we probably perceive as being somewhat misguided about understanding who our real enemy is. Do you foresee a time that might change, that the United States might understand who the real enemies are and understand that the Iranian agreement perhaps should not have been, I won't say signed, but concluded?
Yes, we have a couple of disputes with the administration. It was about the Iranian deal. It is about what should be done in Syria, the approach to the regime in Egypt, about what should be done regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But the bottom line is that there is no better friend to our country than the United States. And we know the United States is not just administration. We have the Congress, and we have the American people, and we have you, American friends of Likud. And for us, first of all, the relationship between the two defense establishments, the Pentagon and the Israeli Ministry of Defense, the U.S. Armed Forces and the Israel Defense Forces, the intelligence agencies on both sides. The relationship is unique for the benefit of the two sides, I believe, and of course, it's a cornerstone in our national security, and we believe that it is going to continue this way, hopefully with less disputes in the future, hopefully. We don't like the disputes. We should avoid disputes. We are here to defend our interest, and when I say our, we believe that Israel and the United States is on the same page. We have the same enemies. We share common interests, not talking about common values. So we are looking for better days. Nevertheless, I would like to use this opportunity to thank you very much, American friends of Likud, for your support to our country. It's very important in fighting for our case, even from home, using the internet, by blogging, chatting, disseminating articles. Each of us can participate in this war about ideas in which there are a lot of manipulations, propaganda against the state of Israel. And it's very important to educate people, especially in the West, Western like-minded people, for our case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Defense Minister Ya'alon. And thank you for making the case for American Friends of Likud as well. We will continue to do what we can to support you, and everyone on this call hopefully will continue to support us so that we can continue to provide such insightful opportunities with Israeli leadership. Defense Minister Ya'alon, thank you again, and a peaceful night to everyone.
Thank you, and shalom.
Shalom.